Look, at the end of the day, like people know, I don't like government being involved in parents' decisions. That being said, I think there's I think there's a line in morality that most people in society can agree upon. And I think bringing your child to a sexually charged show, or to a show containing nudity, or a movie containing nudity, or to Hooters, I think that's wrong. I think a lot of people would look at that and think that that's wrong. For the mere fact that kids, under the age of 13, 14, there's just really no reason why they need to be learning about sexuality or talking about sexuality. Like when you see these videos of like 5-6-year-olds getting on stage and twerking and like just like explaining to them about sex, I just don't even understand why that needs to be talked about at that age. Again, I don't have kids, so I don't know personally, but like just from my own childhood, like if someone had told me all that when I was 6, like it just wouldn't even clicked for me. Like even my early porn exposure when I was like 8 or 9, which is really damaging to me. And that's almost kind of part of why I, do kind of understand some of the concern about this. Is like there are cases of at these drag story hours, like children being shown like pornographic images, pornographic illustrations about stuff. And I think it's entirely within a parent's. I think it's entirely right for a parent to say, "Hey, I don't want my kid to be exposed to that." I think that's totally fine. I don't have a problem with that. And despite being an anarchist, I think when the government moves in a direction that is positive, it's important to acknowledge that. And I do think that not allowing your kid to go to these shows is positive. The same as if they said, "Hey, you can't take your kid under 18 into a bar." Like I'm not talking like a family restaurant. I'm talking about like a dive bar. There's only a bar. There's like a couple tables, but everybody's just getting shit faced. If they pass a law like, "Hey, you can't bring your kid there," I'm not gonna bitch about that, because I can detest and object to the fact that that's being implemented, but like also that's not like a bad thing, right? Like it's not bad that it's illegal to kill people. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's bad. Like, yes, like people shouldn't be killing people, so that is a good thing. But I find I find it ridiculous. Like when people are just gonna look at the fact that, oh hey, like at the surface value of it, like, oh hey, this is targeting trans people, and it probably is to an extent. But again, like what is really happening here? All that's really, I mean, they're not saying that people can't be trans. Although I think in the federal context, I don't think you can be anymore. But again, like I always use this analogy, like if you're gonna work for the mob and the mob does something fucked up, I don't really care. Like you're working for the mob. Yeah, like you've already decided your fate there, right? Like if like federal employees are being subjected to something, I'm like, okay, then don't be a federal employee. It's as simple as that. But okay, let's just pause here and just watch some of these clips, because I think this is kind of an important thing to show people. And this isn't me like being what, I don't even know how to say it, like whatever, but this is probably the worst one right here that I've seen. Right here. But let's just play some of these videos and just show what kind of things are really happening. I'm not 100% sure. I think this is at DragCon. I'm not actually sure, but it might be. Oh, this doesn't have sound. So it's a drag performer literally just doing a stripper dance. Like going on the ground, spreading her legs. His legs, whatever. Splitting them and then doing like a sexual pose, sticking the ass out. And there's literally a child facing his back to that. Like there's literally a child in the shot that looks like 5 years old. I don't know how I'm sorry. I don't know how somebody can watch that and still be on board with this stuff. Still be on board with the Drag Story Hour. I'm not saying that every Drag Story Hour is like this. However, it's like the Catholic Church. If there's some fucking weird shit going on, maybe you should look at the whole thing. Maybe you should look at the whole picture. If there was a Starbucks, if there was one Starbucks location, one, that did anything remotely like this to kids, people would stop going to Starbucks. They'd be like, what the fuck? Starbucks is doing, like, even if this happened in one store, that would taint the entire brand, right? But for drag, because it's part of the LGBTQ community, because in the trans community, because it's not like, it's totally, you know, nothing ever bad could come out of that community. When we see when people see stuff like this, they just turn the other way. It's the same thing as Catholics. When you tell Catholics about, like, oh, hey, this is how many people have been abused, this is how many children have been abused, they will literally look the other way.